Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, the podcast aimed to inspire you to find your voice and become the best, truest, and most authentic version of yourself. Spiritually intimate, soul-to-soul conversations, life-changing insights, and spiritual teaching and healing. Real, raw, unfiltered. Join your host, Tisha Michelle.
Welcome back to #Certified. I'm your host, Tisha Michelle. So please excuse the background noise that you hear today. I am currently on a 7-day cruise, and we ported today at our first stop, which we are at a beach bar in St. Martin's. But I wanted to make sure that I got a new episode up for you guys, right? So I'm super excited about these next few days. So just want to share that with you guys. Anyway, I'm really not going off too much sleep. Right now, I've kind of just been going. However, I had a little bit of time to chill like last night in my room because I didn't hang out with everyone. I went in early. I'm such a homebody. But I was just doing a little bit of journaling and reflecting. And I started thinking about my recent trip to Arizona and so many things that I realized from that trip. Now, I will tell you, it was a whole lot of aha and clarity and different things that came about. But I wanted to share two of the things that I learned from the Arizona trip that I believe that I can continue to apply to my life as well as you guys. So the first thing was to trust myself even if others don't see it. So the day before we were going to Arizona, which, oh, by the way, we drove. So I live in Virginia and we drove to Arizona. Yes, it was a 32-hour drive, but it was amazing. But anyhow, so the night before I was getting gas. So I was like, let me just go ahead and fill up now so I don't have to do it in the morning. So as I'm getting gas, something tells me to turn my head and look at the front tire. Now, mind you, I've never had a problem with this tire. I was just guided to look at the front. It was the front passenger tire. And I look and I'm like, wow, it looks a little bit low. So I'm just like, oh man, I hope nothing's wrong with this tire because we're leaving at 6 or 7 in the morning and nothing's going to be open. Nothing's going to be open. So, oh man. So I was like, let me just go put some air in it. So I go to put air in it, but it doesn't really do anything. And it's nighttime, so I can't really see. So then I asked someone else. I was like, hey, does this tire look like it's low? And they're like, oh no, it looks fine. I'm like, okay. But I'm still feeling like a little weirded out about it. So then even in the morning, I asked someone else, like, I think that tire might be low. Like, no, it looks fine. But there's still something inside of me that's just like, I don't know. I think this is it's low. So anyway, so of course not of course, but anytime I'm traveling, I always call in for protection. And I always just say, allow me to make it to my destination safely. Please keep harm out of my way. Please keep me out of harm's way, and all that good stuff. So we get to Arizona safely. Fine. So then we're in Arizona and my son's with me and I'm like, you know what, just to ease my mind, can you just put some air in that tire? So he goes and he puts air in the tire or whatever. So, still there's no problem, but I'm just like, still just seems like something's just not right. But whatever, nothing's happened with the tire. Okay, so now we're on our way back. So we're on our way back. I'm like, you know what? We're getting gas. I'm just going to go ahead and put air in this tire again anyway. And I'm doing this just to ease my mind from me thinking something, right? So still no one thinks that the tire is low, that it just looks normal. It's fine. Okay. So we head back home and we get all the way back home, another, 30 something. Actually, it was a little longer because we took a different route so we could pass through Texas. So we'd be able to, get our energy in Texas and see, what was in there. So we get home probably 2 that morning or whatever. So I get up and get ready. And at this point, it's probably 10 a.m. So as I get up, I leave out the house, I get in the car and I'm coming out of my driveway. As I'm coming out of my driveway, the car is feeling super weird. So I just stop, right basically in front of my house. And I get out and then I walk around the car and look at the tire. Yeah, that same tire that I was talking about, it's flat. So soon as I looked at the tire and I seen that it was flat, I simply just say, thank you. Because I was able to make it to Arizona and then all the way back to Virginia with nothing happening to the tire, right? And as soon as I get home, where I'm safe and everything, we're secure and everything, the tire goes flat. And all I could do was say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing me to make it home safely. And I was able to call people and they came and they put a spare on and I got the tire taken care of. But it was so interesting because something guided me to look at that tire and I noticed that that tire was low. But even though everybody else that, it was only two people, looked at it, they didn't see it. I knew that that tire was low and there was a reason why I had looked at that tire, but I also asked for that protection and I was protected. And it did not go flat until I got home where it was going to be easy to manage it. Can you imagine, driving and just, it blowing out on the interstate going 70, or in the middle of the night somewhere and you're just literally in the middle of nowhere, you know? So I looked at that for so many things and ways that I can like relate that into my life in general because sometimes it's really easy to kind of go against like that intuition, that gut feeling or something that you just know something, but then you kind of like ask other people just to see and then they're all like, "Oh no, I don't see it. I don't see it." So then you go that way, towards them and basically you're not trusting within yourself. So that taught me, I'm saying like a lot of things, the Arizona trip, but that was one of the most important things that I learned from there was being able to trust myself, even though other people don't see it, because some things aren't meant for other people to see. Like it's just meant for you, and it's meant for you to trust yourself, trust that inner guidance, that inner voice, that feeling, that knowing, the intuition, whatever it is that you are choosing to call it. It's your intuition, but and I do trust myself. I'm just gonna be 100 with you guys. I do trust myself, but I'm not gonna lie. There are some times where I doubt myself or I doubt certain things. I am human, and it kind of comes from that ego where the ego will keep you trapped in fear and be like, "Oh no, you're bugging," because going back to the tire thing, there was this part where I looked at the tire and I noticed that, well, when I thought that the tire was low, I was like, "You know what? Maybe it's not really low. I'm just now starting to worry that I'm about to take this 30 something hour drive and something's going to happen." So then I brushed it off a little bit, but then yet it was still coming back. It was like, no, something is. And I trusted myself. However, I acted out of, I guess you want to say like out of the fear. So I just told my son, you know what, let's just put air in here just to make myself feel better because I diminished what it was that I was feeling. But in actuality, that was my intuition was saying, hey, you need to look at that tire because that tire is going to go out and you need to take care of it you know so I would say to all of you guys, no matter what the situation is, if you just have that feeling and that knowing, always trust yourself. Always trust yourself, even if the outside people don't see it, they don't believe it, they don't feel it, especially with your dreams, guys. Dream completely big. Trust yourself. If you're feeling like you want to move to another state, move to another state. If you're feeling like you want to start this business or you want to like tour and like travel the world, like do it. Do not let outside people who don't see your vision dictate your vision and where it is that you're going. Always trust yourself. You are the most important person and you know what's best. Completely trust yourself. Okay, so the second thing that I learned from my Arizona trip was that you have to step away from your current reality in order to co-create the reality that best serves you. So I'm always telling people all the time, I'm like, we co-create our reality alongside of the universe, alongside of God, what it is that we want, or whether again it's going back to these dreams, and our visions, right? But sometimes you have to step away from your reality to even really co-create it because you really don't know what it is that you want or what's best or anything of, that sort. So I'm just going to give you like this story. So I get back from Arizona. First of all, Arizona was amazing. I loved it. The energy was just, whew, the energy was dope. So I get back home and I don't know, I start feeling different. I don't know, I can't really explain it, but I was feeling different. And as I'm feeling different, all of a sudden I started having like, I want to say I was manifesting anxiety. Anxiety, I know it's not even really real. That's a whole other podcast we'll have though. But anyway, so I started having like anxiety, being really like antsy, and I started being agitated, irritated. I was even kind of snappy. And I was like, what is going on with me? And I'm able to like question, like myself and, um, do a little self awareness check. And I'm like, this is not me. Like, what is it? And then I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm getting all these emails and I'm getting all these text messages and all these different things are coming through. And I'm like, wow, it's not like I posted on social media, hey guys, I'm home. You can reach me. But it's just like, once I was back home, it was like, the reality was starting to kick in. And it was certain things. And I remember saying, whoa, 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 something is going on. I was like, this is kind of toxic. And when I say toxic, doesn't mean that there was something severe that was going. But, I felt different. And I was so overwhelmed with everything that it literally felt like I couldn't breathe. And I got up and out of my spiritual room and I was like, this is crazy. I'm so overwhelmed. And I was walking up the steps and I fell. Like I fell up the steps. I didn't trip on anything. Like I fell up the steps and I just sat there and I said, wow, I just created that. I created me falling because my mind was so bogged down and overwhelmed and filled with so much stuff that I couldn't even walk up the steps normal. And I said, oh my God, this reality right now is toxic. Oh my gosh. So because I was in Arizona and I was able to disconnect and leave everything there, everything was so pure and it just felt great. But then as soon as I got back, it was like my reality of all the things that was popping up. To me, I felt like I couldn't breathe, and I literally had to say, "This is toxic." I was like, "This is freaking toxic. I need to change my reality." And yes, I do. We all have things that's going on, right? In our life, we have bills and we have maybe obligations and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I get all of that, right? However, there are so many of those things we can do that we can simplify, like that they don't have to be stressful. They don't have to make you feel so overwhelmed with all these different things, right? So, this is what I'm saying because I was able to step outside of my current reality and I felt how things I could breathe and I felt good. When I came back into it, I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what's going on over here?" But when I was in it, I didn't really see it. I didn't feel it because it was the norm. But just because it's the norm doesn't mean that that norm is the best for you. So I'm saying all of that to say is sometimes step outside of, and if you can see me again, I'm over here doing air quotes, your norm, your current reality, and then come back into it. It's kind of like coming back into it with fresh eyes, right? And how do you feel? What's going on? Check in with your body. Your body's gonna allow you to feel when something's not right or when something is right. And if something's not right, and then change it. This is where you get to say, "Oh, I don't like this. I don't like the way that this makes me feel. So now it's time for me to change it. Now it's time for me to co-create the reality that I want, the feelings that I want." And I know for me, I don't want to feel overwhelmed. Even if I have 10 things on my plate, I need to be able to make sure that I can center myself, ground myself, and bring myself back into that I'm not overwhelmed to the point that I'm saying something is toxic or I'm falling up the steps. Again, guys, I didn't trip over anything. I literally was just walking up the steps. I wasn't running or anything, no little jog, nothing. And I fell. But that's because everything around me was just so overwhelming and so crowded and cloudy that I couldn't even walk up the steps. And I said, "Oh no, 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 something has to change." And at that point, that's when I even started going through my emails that I was getting. And I was unsubscribing to some of these things. So you may think that that's little, but it's huge because when you are already feeling overwhelmed and all of a sudden all these emails is coming through and you gotta scroll through all these emails to get to the important thing, like that's a problem. And that's where I said we can simplify things so I started going through and I started unsubscribing some more. I had did this probably about 2 months ago, but clearly I didn't do it very well. So then I just started unsubscribing. And then I started looking at the different things that was going on and was it time for me to let go of some of these things? And that's what I also did. I started releasing some things because they no longer served a purpose and they no longer serve the higher purpose for me. You know. So those are two of the things that I learned from my Arizona trip. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them that I want to even like talk about. Gosh. Okay, but just for now, like those are the two. And again, so one, trust yourself even if others don't see it. And then two, that sometimes you have to step away from your current reality in order to co-create the reality that you want. So again, so remember I told you guys that right now, as I'm recording this, that I apologize for the background noise, that I'm in St. Martin's on this cruise. Man, oh man, oh man. So I knew about this cruise for like 2 years, right? And I had every intention on going. And then again, I allowed life to get in the way. And I didn't take control over my life. I allowed life to take control over me. And I decided that I wasn't coming on this because I went another route. I wanted to finish paying for this documentary that I'm creating around my best friend Gloria that passed away. So I decided to finish to pay for that. So probably about 3 weeks before this cruise, things just opened up and I was able to go onto this cruise, right? So that was dope. That was amazing. And I was like, okay, but I know there's like a deeper purpose to going on this cruise in the way that it happened. And I'm definitely going to do a podcast in regards to this. Is, I believe, I don't even know what day it is for real, but I think it's day 4 of the cruise. And so many things that I have taken away from this that I'm definitely going to want to share with you guys on a later podcast. But what I do want to share with you guys, one of the most important things is spending time with people that you love and that love you. And whether it's family by blood, whether it's friends, new people that you just met, whatever, like people who get you, people who understand you, people who you are always authentic and you are who you really are inside, not who the world says you need to be, but just being that authentic self, that you can be that person, the real you, around. I think it's just a beautiful thing of having people like that around you. And you may only have one person, you maybe have two, you maybe have a whole squad or whatever. But I just encourage each and every one of you guys to just spend time with people who you don't have to pretend to be someone else. Right? So I was telling a couple of them on this trip, they was like, oh man, you see all types of stuff on cruises. I said, no, what you see on cruises are people being their authentic selves. These people who are in the club or on the beach or whatever, cutting up and just doing all this stuff. I'm like, they are absolutely being themselves, because the rest of the time we're not here, they're being someone else. They're being someone else. I'm like, so no, you're getting the realness with people that are here. So again, what I'm saying to you guys is that if you have those people that are around you, that you know that you can just let your hair down, let loose, and really just be yourself without any judgment, spend more time with those people. Hold on to that feeling so that whoever you are around, you are being your core self, your authentic self, right? Okay. All right, guys. So I know this podcast is going to be shorter than the others, but I just wanted to make sure that I got on here and I gave you guys something for this new episode. So I hope you all have a great day, night, week, everything, like on purpose. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Seeing with Your Soul. If something you heard resonated with you, feel free to rate, review, and share with others. If you are looking to go deeper, you can connect with Tisha Michelle on Instagram at Mindset Slayer or visit www.healingalignedglow.com.